Let's get the very latest with Alex Rose.
Alex Rose has been there since the very beginning.
We have our very own Alex Rose.
Alex Rose is on the phone. He has been over there, I think, probably
since day one. Let's start with Alex Rose, who has been on top of this story all day today.
The two convicts used power tools. They somehow got them into Clinton Correctional Facility and used them to tunnel their way through to the sewers where they escaped. Right now, the priority is finding these two very dangerous men. A massive manhunt in northern New York and a head scratcher for police and officials with Clinton Correctional Facility.
This morning, we noticed during a standing count at 5:30 a.m. at this facility, the two cells which were adjoining each other were empty.
Expecting to find Richard, Matt, and David Sweat, officers found two holes in the murderer's cells leading to a catwalk. From there, they climbed down 6 stories, making it to the sewer system, escaping through this manhole a block away from the prison.
First order of business is to find the two individuals.
Governor Andrew Cuomo called this an extraordinary act. During routine cell checks, the two stuffed their beds to deceive correction officers. An inmate has never escaped the prison since it opened in 1865. There are still many questions.
We want to find out exactly how it happened. Suggestion that they needed power tools to accomplish this. How did they get the power tools? From who? How? We have a lot of outside contractors that come in to do various repair jobs, so we're following those leads. But at this time, we don't know where the tools are.
Just going to do a quick check and then you're good to go.
Every road, house, and building is being swept systematically within a 10-mile radius by over 200 New York State troopers, the FBI, K-9, and tactical units. The perimeter grows as the search continues.
These are two dangerous individuals.
Alex, tell me about this huge operation that's going on. I think it's local police and the FBI doing grid searches all over the place.
Oh, absolutely. You got national and local police services, 250 New York State police officers, combined with the Department of Corrections, sweeping the immediate area around Dannemora in northern New York. And of course, border patrols are involved. You have national environmental forestry agencies, you have helicopters in the air all around that area, not only just looking for the two men, but looking for clues as to where they could be at this time.
Let's talk about the biggest question, the one that everyone's talking about, the how. How on earth did they get a hold of power tools? It does suggest some sort of help, doesn't it?
Yes, and Governor Andrew Cuomo completely agreed with that. This was a very elaborate plan. You have them cutting through steel in the back of their cells. They had to cut through 24 inches of brick, another steel pipe, and a steel lock to the manhole that they escaped about 2 blocks away from the prison itself. There's no doubt that there is some sort of element of outside help.
Local 44's Alex Rose live in the newsroom tonight with the details Mitchell gave to state police. Alex?
Well, Lauren, today we got a hold of Mitchell's voluntary testimony she gave to state police. It's right here. It's about 12 pages spread over 3 statements. Now, Sweat and Matt broke out of Clinton Correctional June 6th. The very next day, Joyce Mitchell went to state police to tell them everything she knows. Joyce Mitchell told police she decided to come clean after having a panic attack the night she was supposed to drive David Sweat and Richard Matt away from Dannemora. We got a hold of the documents, 12 pages of what appears to be a confession, giving new insight into Mitchell's relationship with the two killers. Major Charles Guest says her plea deal protects her from more charges. She also has to work with the Inspector General.
There's really nothing that we can add to her statements that have in fact been released, and we certainly wouldn't want to jeopardize her further cooperation.
As for what she told police, Mitchell said Matt kissed her in the tailor shop and they engaged in a sex act. She claims there was not a sexual relationship between her and Sweat. The paperwork also points out how hacksaw blades got into the prison. Mitchell told authorities she bent the blades in half to fit them in hamburger meat. She says Jean Palmer, another prison worker, brought the meat to Matt's cell. She claimed metal jars of paint were put in the bag to throw off prison metal detectors. Palmer's lawyers have said their client didn't know what was inside the meat. Mitchell also told police Richard Matt gave her a phone number. She was to say a code phrase and get a package to bring to Matt. but never followed through.
At this point, we cannot characterize anyone else as actually being involved in the escape plot.
Remember that so-called plot to kill Lyle Mitchell, Joyce's husband? Well, Mitchell says Matt gave her 2 small pills to give to Lyle.
We're not aware that anybody else has introduced items into the facility, so there are things we're looking at to determine perhaps where he got the pills.
Alex, what do you know?
Well, like you said, Joe, we did get confirmation from Clinton County Sheriff David Favreau that, in fact, Richard Matt has been shot and killed earlier today. This perimeter that we're on the edge of is right by Route 30. You're taking a look at the very edge of it. That was set up about 45 minutes ago. We are, give or take, 10 minutes south of Malone, where a lot of the search has shifted up to after a press conference around 1 o'clock today. I know that your boyfriend is back at the cabin. What have you heard from him?
He's back at our house with our 2 youngest kids, and he's been told to stay in the house. There's a few officers outside the house, and he's seen in excess of 50 emergency vehicles pass.
But again, very big news here on the 21st day after these 2 very dangerous men escaped from Clinton Correctional Facility. Richard Matt has been shot and killed in the area of Elephant's Head, just 8 miles south of Malone, New York. Police still searching for David Sweat. He's still at large.
While you were talking, Megan, we just saw Alex Rose run by in back of you. He is trying to get new information.
What are you hearing so far?
Well, I can tell you what I saw. I mean, we were really just having lunch, and then all of a sudden 10 cop cars flew by going down 30 North behind me towards the town of Constable. I just hitchhiked back over here. The North Country folk are so friendly up here, very, very hospitable. But what we saw was a lot of law enforcement converging on this small town, on a little neighborhood off-road up in Constable by the Roman Catholic the Church of St. Francis of Assisi. That's where they set up their post. They all went out there, and they came back with an ambulance that had David Sweat inside. It's kind of interesting to see where these 2 ended up when they were apprehended, very, very far away from each other. Then again, David Sweat hypothetically having about 3 days distance between Richard Matt, where he was found on Friday. But again, 23 days searching for these 2, displacing hundreds in the community, over 1,000 law enforcement. Today is finally the day. We're going to show you a little bit. I'm just being told that we're getting that video that I was talking about earlier right now. Here's a look at the scene up in Constable just a couple minutes ago when David Sweat was apprehended. This is just outside the center of town. Law enforcement heavily armed there at the scene, about 100 New York State Police troopers, all converging in that area. I was told on site by an officer that David Sweat was further back in that neighborhood. Just a tremendous effort by New York State Police, the hundreds of other law enforcement and federal, state, and local agencies that were working together to bring these 2 men to justice.